but I believe it was also part of his demise because he was more confident. He was more aggressive. And you don't want to be more aggressive with a counterpunch. And you can't be overly aggressive with a counterpuncher. Because no matter how confident you are, that confidence, that fire will be snuffed out with a straight left hand counter.
Daniel Dubois has suddenly become the head of controversy after his stoppage loss to Alexander Usyk in the highly anticipated rematch at Wembley Stadium. The showmanship and swagger that characterized the build-up have been merciless in the fallout. Peter Fury also said that Dubois disappointed him. He tried, but he couldn't perform up to the point.
Dubois done what he could. He just wasn't good enough to do anything with Usyk whatsoever. And there's no disrespect to him, because he's had 3 very, very good wins. You know, before that, he's an IBF world champion. He's had terrific wins. But, you know, we just seen Usyk step up again and do what he done. He's doing a very good job so far. And what he done with Dubois there, I didn't give Dubois any chance in that fight whatsoever. He took control of it from the first opening bell.
In the days following the bout, several professional boxers and analysts expressed their opinions with little restraint. Tony Bellew, a former cruiserweight world champion, was among the first to speak out. If you're doing it for yourself, for your legacy, you get up. What we saw wasn't a man pushed beyond his limits. It was someone who didn't want to be there. Bellew's words carried weight, spoken from a place of hard-earned experience in the ring.
Because he ain't fighting for money, guys. The boy's financially secure. He was financially secure a long time ago, to be totally honest. And I know that for a fact. So you have to ask the question, why is it? Because when he gets into these really hard moments in fights, that's when the real Daniel comes out. And the real Daniel doesn't want to fight.
Likewise, Derek Chisora, never one to hold back. Chisora accused Dubois of quitting, stating he lacked the heart of a true fighter, while Bellew questioned his mentality and claimed his corner failed to prepare him properly. He said, "He just folded. A lion doesn't ask if it wants to fight, it fights."
He quit for me. He quit in the first round. Yeah. But if he got knocked down in the 5th round, didn't he? Yeah, he walked in there, was game on. By the time he got hit by 3 shots, that was it. Yeah. When he was on the floor, all he did was looking at his corner.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be there. Even when he arrived, he didn't want to be there. You have to understand. Watch when he arrived to fight AJ and watch when he arrived to fight Usyk. Totally different.
Immediately after Dubois lost to Usyk, Frank Warren was enraged by the continued criticism of Dubois by Derek Chisora. Warren spoke of his disappointment at what he saw as a common theme of negativity by Chisora, who in his estimation never gave credit to Dubois even before he had his big fights. He was referring to the previous remarks made by Chisora, indicating that Dubois will get severely damaged when he fights against elite fighters such as Anthony Joshua.
Every fight he's had, every single fight Daniel's had, he's slagged him off. You know, when he was going to fight, when he was fighting, when the fight was made against AJ, he said, "This is a terrible fight for him. He will get taken to hospital in an ambulance." I mean, what a thing to say, but as a fighter, it's what a schmuck he is.
Warren defended the character and capability of Dubois and implied that Chisora had been erroneous before and that he was now tripling it with even more personal assaults. He went ahead and also stated how the trainer of Dubois, Don Charles, had also gotten offended by what was said by Chisora, and the trainer was also willing to see a fight take place between Dubois and Chisora to sort all of this out in the ring.
But, you know, Derek said he's a quitter. I didn't like, you know, the way that, you know, it's like keep on saying it, but, you know, the vibe I got back from when I spoke to Don yesterday, he said, well, if he thinks he's a quitter, then fight him.
Teddy Atlas explained technically what went wrong in Daniel Dubois' corner when he fought with Alexander Usyk. His argument on the significant inability was not only in the way the fighter executed, but the inability of the corner to effectively make an interconnection between the tactical approach and the technical training. Atlas states that there was definite dislocation between what Dubois was learning and how it was meant to be translated into the fight.
The place where they came up short, 2 places. And again, I'm going to go a little deeper than maybe some places would go. But they didn't connect the fight plan. I'm making this one simple. They didn't connect the technical parts with it.
Teddy Atlas went further and addressed the issue of the psychological attributes of Daniel Dubois, stating that he is not very confident and still in control of himself in stressful situations. He mentioned the awkwardness that Dubois showed in social and professional situations when he said that these minor symptoms can be eye-openers to those with trained eyes to see them. An example which he cited included the weigh-in before the fight with Alexander Usyk.
But he's one of those guys where you can see he's not always comfortable in certain settings. In social settings, in certain settings, you can see the awkwardness. Even at the weigh-in, it's telling. If you know what to look for, it's telling. Where at the weigh-in, you can see they do the stare down. Now, Usyk, nobody's out staring Usyk. Nobody. He's staring, they're doing the stare, the first fight before the fight, I always say, and he's staring him down. And who breaks it off first? Dubois.
Teddy Atlas posted what he would have told Daniel Dubois to do against a counterpuncher such as Alexander Usyk. According to him, Dubois did a crucial error by attacking the fight by relying on a devoted right hand before establishing it or eliciting a response out of Usyk. To Atlas, what could have been more strategic in that direction is playing his feint in a manner that would have shown Usyk where the danger was.
Now you know where the trap is. You don't reach into that space, that empty dark hole with a right hand. That's what he did. That's what destroyed him. That he did that. That he fell into the trap. You don't want to fall in with a counterpuncher. And you know what made that happen? The great Usyk made that happen.
The post-fight commentary was not the only thing that received criticism. Going into the fight, Dubois was looking relaxed, even too relaxed. There were reports that he had a big party at his house some days before the fight. More than 70 people attended the party, including friends and relatives. Eddie Hearn talked about what appeared to him as an abnormal trend in the preparation of the fights of Daniel Dubois, especially the role and existence of the father. He added that the father has been seen vocal in the corner during several contests, and according to Hearn, this was distracting and even unprofessional.
Again, like, the whole setup is bizarre, right? In every Daniel Dubois fight, you got the dad screaming in the corner. And actually, to be fair to the dad, I was sitting next to Frank Warren when he fought Jarrell Miller. I think the dad got him through the Jarrell Miller fight. But I don't really want to go into their relationship, but how can anyone close to you feel like that is actually a good idea? I mean, Don says, no, it's good because it's good for the morale, these things are so draining.
It was not uncommon to see a fighter surround himself or herself with a group of people who were nearby when the fighter won a fight and celebrated with that group, but this was the sign of being distracted, or even worse, becoming complacent. Eddie Hearn stated that the major entourages that surround fighters, such as parties and social commitments, may drain the strength and concentration of a fighter on the day of the fight. Hearn wondered whether it was really helpful to put all this people around Dubois, especially since the latter has to face a big number of people who tend to gloat or even shout, which is stressful to the boxer prior to the battle.
Right, having people around you. Like going on to dinners, going to this, going to that. Like, fight day is about consuming your energy. Everyone's different on fight day. Some people like to be around people, not 70 people at a party, but some people like to be around their team and entourage. Some people like to completely be on their own. So maybe that does help relax Daniel Dubois. But the baffling thing is like, let's be honest, if they're really your mates, they ain't coming around your house to a party a few hours before the undisputed heavyweight world championship.
Johnny Nelson gave a great insight into the dynamics in the camp of Daniel Dubois, especially the involvement of the father of Daniel Dubois. Nelson was opining that the arrangement that surrounded Dubois, particularly the dominance and the existence of his father, could have served a purpose up to a certain extent, but it would fail to serve at the tippy top. He thought that Dubois was emotionally weak or lacked in confidence to break that structure or stand up in his defense.
I think to avoid this happening and again, there needs to be some fundamental changes in the backroom staff in regards to his dad, in regards to all that kind of, and it's got so far, and it'll get you so far, but when you get to elite level, you can't get away with it. I don't think Daniel has a capability, strength in regards to talking to his dad or standing up to his dad or standing up to that setup. I don't think he has the strength to do that, and which is why it will always hold him back.
Johnny Nelson was so harsh on the decision-making process of the team of Daniel Dubois, as he directly pointed toward Dubois Sr., who acted in the position of a team manager, which, according to Nelson, the matter should be left to the professionals. How can a person with no hackneyed boxing status force the feedback of global coaches and consider himself or herself better than any of them, he asked.
Daniel, but it's like we're blaming the dad for Daniel's loss. No, Daniel was going to lose anyway. I just think to do something so stupid, and I mean stupid, if he thinks he knows better than every top trainer in the world, he thinks he knows better than every top fighter in the world, even though he's never got to that level, he's on another planet. And I think he made an expensive mistake at the cost of his son's.
Johnny Nelson extended his discourse of the events around Daniel Dubois to deal more with the presence of the father of Daniel Dubois. He acknowledged that he does not even know the father, but indicated that externally it looked like the father could be living vicariously through the boxing career of his son. Nelson believed that the influence of the father was rather dictated by his sense of pride or power, rather than by his best interest concerning the well-being of Dubois. He stated, "But all this tells me, I don't know the dad personally. All this tells me is it's like the dad living vicariously through his son. It's all about him and not about his son, the welfare of his son." Frank Warren also responded to the rumors of Daniel Dubois hosting a major pre-fight party before his match against Alexander Usyk, which occurred just before his fight. Although he did not confirm the complete facts, Warren did admit to hearing that something of the sort had happened prior to Dubois' last combat. Nevertheless, he was not that bothered about the gathering itself, but rather he was perturbed by the time that Dubois should be arriving at the venue on a boxing night.
And I didn't know, apparently they did that before the fight with AJ.
Joshua, yeah.
That's what I'm told. What my concern was the time he got to the venue. That's my concern. But, you know, it's happened. And all we can do is discuss it when we meet and go through it. There's a few other things I want to talk about, and I've got my opinions on. Would it have made any difference? I don't know. But had a couple of other things been done a different way, at least you would have felt more comfortable that he'd gone in there, as far as you're concerned, as far as I'm concerned, the best he could go, mentally go into the fight.
Fight night came, and it was Usyk who came out as razor sharp. He was assertive and articulate as early as the first bell, and it seemed like he was setting the tempo and putting Dubois in the wrong place. When Dubois attempted pressure, it was usually not successful. The jab of Usyk broke through the guard several times, and his footwork made Dubois appear one step behind. The contest was turning decidedly in favor of the Ukrainian in 4 rounds. Frank Warren admitted that there were technical aspects of the game that Dubois needed to work on, such as the inability to move his head and have a decent posture during a fight, but the genuine exasperation on the part of Warren was directed against the critics who charged Dubois with quitting. He explained the behavior of the young boxer in the last part of the fight when some viewers mentioned that Dubois went straight back to his own corner when he got up following the knockdown.
And that was the difference. Daniel's head movement wasn't there. He was pretty much upright. He wasn't bending his knees and so forth. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What's happened. Yeah. You can't change it. But what annoys me, talking about him quitting, and what I don't get about it, and a couple of people said, he went straight back to his corner when he got up. Well, what corner was he going to go to? He wasn't going to go to the neutral corner. He wasn't going to go to Usyk's corner. He goes back to his corner. That's what you do.
The closing stage would be around 5. Usyk then unleashed a punishing hook to the temple, which caused Dubois to hit the canvas. He did beat the count, but the damage was seen, and a few seconds later, a left hook sent him again into a crunching ball. Dubois got up now slowly, with glazed eyes. He walked toward the neutral corner and did not make a gesture to continue the fight. The referee counted him out. Regardless of how hard Daniel Dubois had trained himself mentally, physically, whether through discipline or relaxation, he thought the fight with Alexander Usyk would not have had different results.
It doesn't matter if Daniel went to a yoga retreat in the morning rather than have a party in his house. He was getting beat and he was getting stopped that night. Usyk is too good, and the mindset is too strong for Daniel Dubois. It's just too much for him.
In the opinion of Hearn, both the level of skills and the psychological strength of Usyk were too much to be manipulated by Dubois. He said that Dubois is a risky fighter under his confidence, but the instant his confidence is lost, his head crumbles mentally.
Daniel Dubois is a big, strong lump, and if you let him get confidence, he is a real problem. If you take that confidence away from him early, he completely unfolds and breaks and falls apart. And basically, in the first minute or minute and a half or 2 minutes of the fight, you know, you could see Dubois was coming out like a train, and Usyk was like, not a rabbit in headlights, but he knows the power, he knows the danger, and he just decides, I ain't letting this geezer back me up because it's going to be an horrible night.
Eddie Hearn narrated that Usyk tactically and psychologically imposed himself. According to him, with the help of his footwork, feinting, and pressure, Usyk managed to dominate the middle of the ring and break Dubois down. As Hearn puts it, this was not a domination of only a physical aspect, this was a psychological one. Usyk dulled down the mental toughness of Dubois to the point where he did not desire to continue fighting.
Start to walk him down, take the middle of the ring, use your feet, feint up and down, pepper him, just completely harass him and let him spiral out of control. And basically, that's what he done. He completely destroyed him mentally, started to beat him up, and then stopped him. And, you know, I know there's, did he quit? Did he this? Did he that? At the end of the day, he just broke him. He didn't want to continue.
Yeah.
Because he just knew he was going to get pasted, and he didn't want to try and find a way back into the fight. He was done.
Social media echoed these sentiments. Within minutes of the stoppage, boxing forums were flooded with comments accusing Dubois of giving up. One fan wrote, "Dubois got beat mentally before he got beat physically." Another said, "He looked for the exit. You could see it in his body language." While online outrage isn't always a reliable gauge of boxing consensus, the tone was overwhelmingly negative. In their quantitative aspect, the battle was equally unequal. Usyk threw more and more accurately, as that is the characteristic of a champion, much heavier and stronger than Dubois, yet he succeeded in getting down nothing but a thud. He was foreseeable in his attacks and loose in his defense. The problem noticed by many was that there was no adaptation. Upon the initial duel that favored the opponent, one would expect a different tactic to be brought in by Dubois. However, the development left a lot to be desired. It was a gradual degradation. It was then the inability to reply at the moment of truth. Usyk, meanwhile, reinforced his reputation as one of the most intelligent and disciplined fighters of this generation. He fought with patience and control, never rushing, always thinking. After the fight, he spoke with calm reflection. He said, "I train not for motivation, but with discipline." That's the difference. It was a message not just to fans, but perhaps also to his opponent. Trainer Don Charles was not going to put up with that when Simon Jordan mentioned the comment of Joseph Parker when he said that Alexander Usyk ate Daniel Dubois. Instead of wasting his time poking holes in the opinion of Parker, Charles thought that was an opinion that would be known in the ring if his opinion and that of Dubois ever happened to get in the ring. His response was supposed to negate the understanding of Dubois as intellectually frail or incomplete, and rather implied that Dubois is far not over yet.
And I looked here, Daniel gets up on, the referee counts him out, he walks across the ring as if he's having an afternoon stroll.
I'm so glad
I asked Joe Parker, I asked Lawrence Okoli. Lawrence was a little bit more reticent. Joe's perspective was,
the events in the ring of Dubois versus Usyk are not the only ones that shook the world of boxing after the fight. The war of words that continues to rage around the events of the night has not left anyone indifferent. Is he a bright young man yet to find his path, or does the limelight beam light to more rifts? Time only. Well, the ring too probably will tell. Do you believe Dubois still has the potential to make a comeback? Leave your ideas in the comments. Who do you think is right, the critics or the defenders? Hit the like button, plus that subscribe button, and hit the bell so you never miss your fix of the fight past the fight.